Okay, now we do. Now we really do.
Patrick, anyway, is it like 1 o'clock or something like that?
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. 1:03.
Man.
He's the man. You keep that Diablo going, it'll keep you up. You'll be fine.
I'm almost done.
No, keep it up. You can do whatever you want. We're easy here.
Ooh, Patrick's in Saturday.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, join us now as it begins. Chat room, thanks for joining us, by the way. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek! Current Geek!
Aha.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Current Geek. This is Current Geek, the weekly proceedings of the meetings of the Frog Pants All-Stars, Geeks of the World, and you to keep you current on all things that matter most. I'm Scott Johnson. That's Tom Merritt, and that's his gavel.
That's Gavel McLeod.
Very nice.
Along for the ride once again on my favorite Friday evening activity. Scott.
Yeah, is there anything you'd rather be doing right now?
Did you name your gavel?
He did.
I didn't name him. I guess his mother named him.
She was a big wooden hammer.
I apologize.
I just asked him, "Oh, hello, sir. What is your name?"
Yeah. Dad was a ball-peen hammer.
As you do when you meet a gavel.
Brilliant. Hey,
no, there's nothing I would rather be doing right now.
I wouldn't either. This is great.
100% honest.
Me too. This is one of my favorite things of the week, and it's really nice to wind down the week with a little Current Geek, and that means guests. We have the thrice returning Mr. Patrick Beja with us. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
I am absolutely not playing a video game right now.
No.
My attention is entirely focused on what you're saying and the gavel.
I'm impressed how little your resources are being stretched by the game you're playing while you're listening to us. And the video looks great and everything's fine.
You know, I'm a true game. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like my actual ability to multitask.
No, sir.
But you're talking about my computer's ability to multitask.
Exactly. But it's Patrick. It's after 1 a.m. He is a real trooper, and we're thrilled to have him here. So, Patrick, thanks for returning. Also, joining us for the first time ever, but not in our hearts, he's always with us. It's Eric Van Skyhawk. Hello, Eric.
Hello.
Hakito to some of you out there listening.
Hakito, yes. Yeah, I loved getting texts from you. Yeah, we had you on the show, and I'm like, no, you haven't, Scott.
I swore we did. I swore we did.
No.
I've had you on shows.
Yeah.
I've had you on shows.
We've had a show together, in fact. Like, I felt, for whatever reason, it felt like you were on. It was not my attempt to not have you on, just so you know. That was not my goal.
Like you said, he's like the worm of our hearts.
Yeah. And Tom, I mean, Tom had a very, I think, important point when we started talking about doing the show in the beginning, which was, let's get Frog Pants family. Guys we know and like already. Let's get these guys rotating in on a regular basis. And so today, Eric enters the fray, and today, Patrick must be sick of this fray by now.
We should make a tag in and out.
Scott's scraping the bottom of the Frog Pants barrel right now.
No.
Hey,
whoa.
Wait a second there.
Hold on, that barrel's got a scarf on it.
For
Easy.
Yourself.
Take it easy there.
No, I'm not talking about
third of the way up.
Your self-deprecation is backfired. All right, let's.
There is no bottom to the Frog Pants barrel.
No, there's
gentlemen.
not. There's not. There's no end to it. Let's get to the big top stuff of the day.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
Tom?
Hey, you know what tomorrow is, Scott, because you've been working hard about this. Comic book shops across North America will celebrate Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 3rd. It's already Free Comic Book Day in France, even though they don't celebrate it because they're communists. Guardians of the Galaxy and Rocket Raccoon from Marvel, a Mouse Guard hardcover anthology sampler from Archaea, a 2000 AD sampler comic with Judge Dredd, are all among the 60 titles that will be available for free.
Now, as someone who's actually, Free Comic Book Day for Frog Pants fans starts tomorrow, actually tonight at midnight Eastern time. If you go to frogpants.com/store, you can get a free print in the mail. There are absolutely no strings attached. You just literally get a free print in the mail. And I have to pre-make that, right? I had to create it first, and now we're going to send it out. But it still kind of bothers me, and maybe this is me being a wiener here, but it bothers me a little bit that these are so predetermined. Like, you go into that comic book store, and Tom already has the list of what people are going to see on that table that says, take one, please. They're going to be this selection. They're going to be relatively limited. The old days of Free Comic Book Day, where a local shop would kind of make those determinations, and to some degree they still can, but they would be the ones that say, well, we got a bunch of extra copies of Magic Flappy Man or whatever, and we're going to give those away.
That
Magic.
sounds like an awesome comic.
I think you answered your question right there.
So more importantly, though, why doesn't France celebrate Free Comic Book Day, Patrick?
I don't think we're very big on. Well, actually, I'm not sure. We don't celebrate. All my comics come from Comixology. So I don't know what happens in France.
We're going to be talking about that later on.
Yeah, that's gonna come up again. But France is I mean, even though they may not be, I don't know this for sure, but let's say they're not. I'm going to assume they're not really into the whole mainstream DC Marvel kind of stuff.
Well, there is a little bit of following. I mean, we like comics, and as in the U.S., I guess, since the iPad popularized comics again, there's been a resurgence. I mean, in the 80s, when I was a wee boy, I used to read tons and tons of comics. They would they would have like Strange and Super Strange and like the titles of the magazines, which would get I guess 4 or 5 different issues from different comics, get them together and sell one of those collected issues every month, and we would read them like every week.
You'd eat that stuff up, yeah.
Yeah.
But
nowadays, not as much. At least it's mostly in digital form, I would guess.
Sure. But I just think it bears noting that France is the home of a lot of really interesting artists and sort of indie comic stuff from years past and even currently today. They've always kind of been, home of Mobius and home of, I can't think of the other guy.
I mean, we have a very strong culture of, well, it's not really comics. It's a different style of, it's not called comics. It's bande dessinée, which is the French-Belgian style. And we have tons and tons of very famous authors.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of them are really cool.
Yeah, people like them over here, too.
But it's
widely
like,
respected.
We have there are comics and then bande dessinée and then manga. And all three are super, well, I guess.
TVZ Gone found that there are international listings on freecomicbookday.com, including one in Paris.
Go!
So take it back.
You got to go tomorrow. If you can
Album,
sleep.
Album 67 on the Boulevard Saint-Germain.
Yeah. And real quickly before I forget, Eric, you're in New York, dude. You're in you're in Jersey, but you're close enough to New York to go to some of the most famous big city New York comic stores ever. Are you going to go tomorrow?
No.
Take the boys. Come on.
What? Come on.
Yeah. You're a fan. I thought you read comics. You're all right with that stuff.
Yeah, but I'm all digital these days.
All right. Fine.
That's why they need titles to be put out ahead of time, is to pull people in because they're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
This is true.
No, let me tell you, when you spend 5 days commuting into the city, you do not want to do it again.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's not like
There's
you
not
want to.
one in your hood though, like near your house, where you wouldn't have to.
Not that no.
How far?
There's the where.
Yeah.
There's the one where Kevin Smith owns.
I was going to ask, where's that Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash? Where's that at?
That's probably a little way away from me.
Where's it's red, not red brick, red.
Is it Red Hook?
Red Hook. Red Hook. Red Hood.
Yeah.
Oh, I like their beer.
Yes, you do. Do you like episode 4 beer? Branded beer, Tom? That's
well,
a bad
I
transition.
probably would.
Yeah.
If episode 4 were the movie coming out.
I meant 7.
Episode 7.
I meant 7.
So close. Yeah, Killer Charlie 12 submitted. The
It's
Twitter
okay.
post.
I'm done with my video game. We can start now.
Oh, we're ready now? Okay,
What?
hold on. 3, 2,
Okay.
1, go. All right, Tom, continue.
Welcome to
Getting the
Geek Proceedings.
legendaries?
Bang, bang, gavel joke. Killer Charlie 12 submitted the Twitter post of the cast of Star Wars Episode 7 gathered together for a read-through of the script at Pinewood Studios. The picture shows J.J. Abrams, Harrison Ford. Wonder what part he'll be playing.
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley, Carrie Fisher, Peter Mayhew, producer Brian Burke, Lucasfilm president and producer Kathleen Kennedy, Domhnall Gleeson, I never know how to pronounce that first name, Anthony Daniels, Mark Hamill, Andy Serkis is in the movie, Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, Adam Driver, and of course the writer, Lawrence Kasdan.
Lawrence Kasdan, man, kicking it up again since, wasn't the last one he wrote was Empire, I think.
Yep.
And
He did okay with that one.
Oh, that was the best one they did. So I'm super stoked that he's even when you hear these people, like these venerable veterans of Star Wars and just sort of that era, are back. John Williams, who does not get enough cover in all of this talk about Star Wars 7, nobody talks enough about how important his return is to this and its series. Not only that, let me just say this. I said it on the morning show that I'm going to say it again. Star Wars is nothing. Well, maybe not nothing. It's hardly anything without the music by John Williams and the sound design by that other dude, that Dykstra dude. Is that his name? Dykstra. Something. Anyway.
I just want to say Len Dykstra now because he was the shortstop for the Phillies.
Yeah, I did some amazing star. Everything sounded like a ball hitting a mitt. It was really weird.
John Dykstra.
Don Dykstra, that's it. He is just one of the best ever, and without those two pieces, if it was some weird 70s synthy soundtrack like what was mostly going around those days, and if the sound effects were cheap, cheesy, Roger Corman kind of stuff, we would have been in trouble. Star Wars would not matter today.
But the effects are pretty good too.
Well, okay, I guess you can't. It's the third pillar. It's the third thing that holds up the stool. But
music,
Eric,
sound, and effects.
Yes, those things.
That's all there is to Star Wars.
Well, there's other stuff, but without those levels of quality that those three things achieved, and I would say without one, if you had even just the great effects and decent sound, take out his score, it's way less of an experience. Put in the score, changes everything. I really think it does. I think it's that important because you got to remember.
I'll give you that.
What was happening then was nothing like this. And Eric, you've had all this experience with like actual Star Wars people. I knew you'd have an opinion on this. So go, man, go.
Well, but you got to figure. I'm a big fan of like the Blade Runner soundtrack, and that's kind of the Vangelis synthy thing going on there, right?
Sure, but it fit because, well.
It fit the mood of Blade Runner. I think part of it is also the fact that we associate Williams' style with Star Wars because we grew up with it.
But I was,
when they changed it, it seemed like it was wrong somehow. It'd be like if Blade Runner put John Williams in charge of the new Blade Runner movie, we'd think that was wrong.
Yeah, but also it's just a good match. Go ahead, Eric.
But I was just gotta figure that I was a Williams fan even before Star Wars. I had Jaws, the soundtrack.
I like John Williams before he sold out and became in the early days.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, you spent time with like who played Yoda? My brain just went blank.
Frank Oz.
Frank Oz. You recorded him in studio. You've been to Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, and I actually worked with Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, isn't it great about that photo? The best thing about that photo is that everybody there is talking and yapping and doing stuff. He's the only one reading his lines, and he has no lines.
It's hard to pronounce, but
he's just a barking dog, big hairy dog. He doesn't need lines. Yeah, but anyway,
some people I talked to are like, I wish it would have been in color. I liked that it like harkened back to those pictures we have of Lucas back in the day. Yeah. But do you think that was overdoing it?
I think they did it on purpose, and I also think
they did.
It was like 4:3 aspect ratio looking photo. It looked like somebody had said this on another show, maybe Norman Chan on the Tested show. He said something. Yeah, that's what it was. He said it looked like one of those old books you would get. So now it's all DVD extras, right? But back in the day, you get a great big Star Wars How They Made It book, and it was full of photos like this. They were oftentimes taller than they were wide. They were always black and white. They kind of had that kind of saturated white noise quality to them. Somebody meant to do this. I didn't mind it. I think it's awesome. I would want to blow that up and hang it someplace. And
it makes it look very retro. I mean, you have to take a double take. It's like, is this from the 19, like the episode 4, or is this?
Abrams' beard looks just slightly Lucas-ish.
Yeah, Abrams' beard. By Abrams' beard.
What's really, really interesting in this photo? It's how far away Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford are sitting from one another.
Oh,
I think there's something to it. Look at it.
Isn't anywhere near either one of them either.
I like that you're seeing some potential controversy there. That's great.
Some drama there.
Yeah. Okay,
they could not have been sitting.
If you read the body language, you plainly see that Driver is being isolated by everyone.
Now, before we move past this one, Patrick, you come from this weird country that is like all into Jerry Lewis and stuff. How does
and cheese
and cheese and isn't there a Hasselhoff thing going on there? Or is that Germany? I guess it's Germany.
That's Germany.
So what do you where does the overall French culture stand on the phenomenon that is Star Wars? Do you guys hold it as holy the way we do, or is it just so much fluff to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars. I like it well enough, but the influence, the cultural influence it's had on my generation is undeniable. It's pretty much the same as it is in the US. I remember I had a VHS tape of Return of the Jedi, and I watched it so much. I swear, like by the end, it was screaming for me to stop, to please stop. No, it's huge here as well, and it's my childhood. So.
Yeah. Well, that part where they were screaming for you to stop, George Lucas had that changed to different lyrics. Anyway.
No, they made it into Darth Vader saying,
Patrick stopped first.
Yeah, Patrick stopped first, everybody.
Hey, breaking news. Ethan Rain on Twitter says that Domhnall is pronounced Dunnell.
Oh, Dunnell.
D-O-N-A-L is how he writes it, Dunnell.
Guy should go get that officially changed then.
Thank you, Brian.
Hey,
let's speak of the past for a little while longer. Last Saturday, a crew of archaeologists uncovered the legendary cache of E.T. the Atari game cartridges. And I say cartridges because there's hundreds of them in a landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico. It was part of a documentary being shot for distribution on the Microsoft Xbox. But the legend was real. We all wondered, and they found them.
Yeah.
Bunch of E.T. Atari cartridges.
Everyone thought it was fake. Also, the article here screwed me up for a minute because it said dog instead of dig, and I was really curious.
That wasn't the article. That was me.
It was Tom Merritt's typing.
Thank you for pointing it out.
No problem. You stealthily got rid of it. Yeah, nicely done. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Because I don't think any of us really thought it was. I don't know. Part of me always kind of thought it was real. I didn't really ever assume anything wasn't, and it was always indeterminate, not determined on things like Snopes and other stuff. But I think that's awesome.
I just thought it was an urban legend, you know?
Yeah. I mean, who knew?
It's just so weird. I mean, if you want to destroy the cartridges, I'm sure you can throw them in a, I don't know, car compactor or something. Why do you have to go in the desert and bury them?
The old car compactors. Really, yeah, they're everywhere.
Well, you could have given them to thrift shops.
You could have given them away. You could have had free ET day, like comic book day.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember. I think
any of you guys play ET?
I did.
I had it.
I did.
I had
it too.
I bought that damn
Atari,
thing.
so.
But here's the funny thing. I don't have it anymore. I got rid of it a long time ago. But I would kill for one of these dug up ones. Well, I wouldn't kill, but I would
it here first, people.
I would pay up to $200 for that cartridge.
All material witnesses.
Yeah, I would. Like a dirty, nasty version that sat under that pile of heap since 1982. I would totally pay $200 for that. I don't even need it to work. In fact, the dirtier the better. I just want to frame it, put it someplace. That's how into this I am.
They're all crushed and.
Ooh, I want one that also comes with a receipt. I'm gonna take it.
That's a great idea. This is the with the 40-year return policy at Software Etc. See if it's still
working.
working.
GameStop. I don't have the receipt. Can I get credit?
Yeah, this is cool though.
It's really the. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's just. It's really weird to imagine that there was a guy at Atari sitting in an office and they were looking at the numbers and they were like, you know what, this game is really not selling. It's sort of an embarrassment. And then the guy, there was a light bulb lighting up above his head and he was like, I know what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. We're going to go to the desert. We're going to dig a huge hole and put all of the cartridges in there.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
The guys around at the table were like, is he being serious?
It was a landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico. You make it sound like it was some secret mission.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
All they did was the warehouse that held them in Alamogordo said, here, take these away when the trash people came.
Yeah, that's all it was. But we want it to be more than that, and I'm okay with that. But I guess what we're gonna hear though, because there's still I'm with you in the part of the mystery that is. Actually, why would you just?
I prefer my version of the truth.
Oh, your version is we'll call it.
The thing is, weren't they filming this as a documentary?
They are
uncovering of this.
They
did. Almost like I said that.
Yeah, it's all.
Did you say that?
He did. It was all part of the dog. Sorry, Dig. The documentary about the Dig.
It's okay. Those
but
fancy New York people. They don't listen to what we're saying.
No,
they have better things.
I don't know. I can't even.
But how exciting can this documentary be? I don't know.
I'm stoked for it. I don't even have a 360 or Xbox One. Which Tom, isn't this where they're going to primarily show this thing? Like that's
they're gonna distribute it as part of a 6 documentary series on Xbox.
6.
Well, this is one of the 6.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not a 6-part series.
Yeah.
They're all about technology stuff. And you know what it's going to be? It's going to be the suspense. It's going to go into the history. It's going to tell Patrick's story of the guy who ordered the truck to take the cartridges in the middle of the desert in the deep of night.
Yeah.
And then, they'll have a dramatization of that. And then there'll be all the tension of will they find the cartridges or not?
Yeah. I think Patrick saw Breaking Bad and saw the scene where
that is exactly how I imagined it.
Because you're hearing New Mexico, you're hearing desert. Yeah, exactly. So that's what you're doing. I understand.
They probably didn't wait for the track. They probably just had a truck from the warehouse, take them out to the landfill, and like, how much to dump these? $5. There you go.
I also think it was just a different time. Like that today, you would probably have lots of sort of repurposing options and recycling options and things you could do.
You'd worry about the press of getting
it's a totally different thing. Yeah, back then you're under the radar already. You're kind of this weird makeshift thing. Bushnell's like, get rid of them. I can see this all going down. Either way, that story's fascinating, and I can't wait to watch it. So
the thing they said, this is what was the decline, right, of Atari was the ET.
Many people think so.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It was peak Atari.
You're going to find out in part 6 of this 6-part documentary.
6
the modern day Atari is somebody else. I have no idea, but I have a video game story next. Guy from Trinidad pointed us to the Daily Mail article about Kevin Spacey appearing in the next Call of Duty game, which will be subtitled Advanced Warfare. Spacey plays the leader of a military corporation that has turned against the United States. Game is set to release November 4th.
It's perfect role.
Is he going to break the fourth wall?
He is a computer dude in it. The photo, if you go look at it, he is not. That is not him. There's some uncanny valley going on.
Yeah, but they made the character that he's voicing look like Kevin Spacey.
Just like him, yeah. It's really well
done.
Actually,
I wonder if they're actually going to call him Frank Underwood, or if they're going to disguise it somehow.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
that would be really great.
How could they Freddie underbelly,
Freddie
underpants,
under crotch, Freddie under crotch. Let's play a little bit of it. I want to hear his voice here. Let's see. Peggy 18. You people in Europe, what's going on with that Peggy stuff? All right, here we go. Skipping ahead. All right, we got robots.
Democracy.
Here we
Democracy. Democracy is not what these people need. Hell, it's not even what they want.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, so he doesn't have a southern accent.
Dude, it's like Frank Underwood right there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
It's what Frank would say.
It's just not what these people need.
He just doesn't have the accent. Otherwise,
that's pretty much him.
Yeah, that's the only difference.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Should be cool.
And he's going to talk to the camera like nobody knows.
I say that, but I'm not that excited about a new Call of Duty game. But I'm excited that it would be an actual next-gen game, not some hybrid for current gen, and kind of faked up versions for the new consoles and PCs. But also because I am interested in this story now. He's a big part of it, but the idea that a big corporation who makes military hardware and does things on contract has turned against the motherland, that's a cool idea.
Also, doesn't Frank Underwood play Call of Duty in House of Cards?
Yeah, he does.
So are we setting up here for a little product placement?
Spoiler! I still haven't seen it, but that's not really.
That's a big
I'm just never going to mention television shows ever again.
I know. Have you noticed that? One of the common threads through podcasting, one of the great common threads is that everything sounds like a spoiler all the time to everybody. It's kind of getting out of control.
Well, the Call of Duty was a huge plot point in House of Cards.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. Once you know that, you pretty much can figure out the rest of the story. Laughing Squid has the article about a Miami ad schools parody of the classic Dumb Ways to Die video. If you don't remember, that was an Australian transportation agency, Metro Train, making a PSA warning people to be safe in the cutest way possible with these little dancing folks singing. Sao Paulo, Brazil ad agency Young and Rubicam created the parody for the ad school, showing various ways creative ideas die. Hakito pointed this one out to us.
Oh, nice.
Yes, this hits home to my daily job and working in advertising, and there's so many things I can relate to in this video, and I thought it was very funny. And even if you're into creative, even Scott will understand a lot of the stuff that's going on in here.
Even me.
Even you, because you work with clients too, right?
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I actually haven't. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I want to. I love the original parody or the original little cartoon they're making a parody of here. Is one of my favorite things ever.
It's like there's one where the guy's like, I love the unicorn, but just take the horn off. He's just like.
Well, there's just a horse now. That's
I know, but
terrible
that's
idea.
That's what happens every day. It's like, oh, I love that. I love how he's getting hurt, but can we not have him get hurt? And that's the whole spot. I don't, it's just.
I can't imagine what that's like. That must be. Well, you are a modern day Don Draper. We all knew that already coming into this.
Yeah,
episode.
I smoke and drink like it's nobody's business.
That's right.
In my office with the
entertaining the clients.
entertaining the clients.
Yeah, I know how you are. I know how it is.
Did I ever tell you? Did I ever tell you?
No, what?
When I worked at BBDO, which is Don Draper's agency is based on, is my, because my old agency was opened in 1880 something.
Yeah,
that's how old it was.
Right.
They showed a kind of a video, a film they found from the 1960s of how the agency was, and it was appalling how the women were treated in the film. It was just like,
I'd love to see that.
Here's Becky, our secretary. If you ever need some coffee or some tea, she's the one to go to.
Wow.
It was just like, oh my gosh, that really was how it was like back then.
Well, you get the feeling from that show that things weren't great as far as gender equity went.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
This bird's a looker too. Let's talk about this weird YouTube channel, WebDriver Torso. Have you guys heard about this at all?
No.
Yeah, I actually delved into this, and I have no idea what.
It's crazy. It's about 80,000 short video sequences, mostly just of red and blue rectangles. They were uploaded between September 2013 and this month. Boing Boing was comparing it to number stations. Number stations just broadcast series of numbers. They're used by spy agencies. It could be an iteration of Cicada 3301, which is that intense public puzzle challenge. Some people say, no, it's just stray automation from Selenium WebDriver, which is a tool meant to test websites. So the BBC decided to dig in and try to figure out what this is about. They haven't figured it out, but they did point out that the only clip, the first clip uploaded to the channel is a $1.99 paywalled clip of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, just a part of an episode, and you can only purchase it if you're in France. And the 1,182nd video shows the Eiffel Tower and has the only comment from the poster of these videos that says Matu is intelligent.
What is going on, dude? I'm just reading some of this and I'm seeing this photo here.
This is like talk about modern day Lost analogies.
Yeah.
Like this totally is weird.
So all right, Patrick, chances that this is just one lone crazy person perpetuating this whole thing and has orchestrated this whole piece of business. Or
given the amount of lone crazy people we have in France, I would say pretty high.
Okay. But you don't, what I'm saying is, I guess, there is no Illuminati thing behind this or anything weird like that in your opinion. I'm trying to see how I want to see how conspiratorial the French are.
How conspiratorial do you want me to be?
As much as you want, man. I like it. Bring it on.
It is
Lay it on.
absolutely the Illuminati, and they are teaming up with the
who the other
Freemasons.
Freemasons, yeah.
No, it really looks like it's nothing at all. There's a guy who, but the really weird thing is that he keeps uploading those short clips, whoever it is, and it's not even like it was part of a campaign of something. No one ever pointed anyone to it. Apparently, they just happened to find it at some point.
By the way, 3 weeks ago, everyone thought it had stopped, but there was a new one uploaded 11 hours ago now.
Oh, wow.
So it hasn't stopped.
I find this kind of stuff, I think it's easy to get jaded on it in the day we live in where everybody can do weird stuff online, but I like it when something like this kind of stands out and is truly weird and doesn't appear to have any kind of like social media motive or anything, or at least not an obvious one.
I'll give you that. It's an achievement to make something actually feel weird after 10 years of the internet.
Yeah,
it's probably an ad for Renault Car or something like that.
That would suck.
For what?
For Renault. Or Renault.
Oh,
you say Renault?
Renault. Yes, I'm sorry. Please speak properly.
I'm playing Nicole Spag today.
Yeah, if you talk to Nicole.
Nissan.
What?
Yeah.
A Nissan? What?
For Nissan.
Oh, Nissan. Yeah, Nissan. The new Nissan. They have a Leaf. Yeah, it's a hybrid. Fascinating stuff. But Eric, you're in advertising. Anything?
Eric's being very silent about this. Have you noticed?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yes, a little too silent. I read the article. I watched the video where they had the resident hacker analyze all the data and stuff like that, and everybody's trying to figure out what this thing is. I don't know. I don't think it adds up to anything because there's like code breakers working on this, trying to figure it out. I think it's just one guy just like messing with the internet.
Just random business.
Just clearly it's an automated program that's uploading all this stuff? Because there's like 80. How many videos are there?
77,000.
77,000 videos.
That's crazy.
And it's 11 seconds. It's probably a guy who started this like as a university or school project and just let it run or forgot about it. And what about the name WebDriver Torso?
Yeah, WebDriver
What
Torso.
is that about?
I don't know. I want to name a band that, but now I can't.
Selenium WebDriver.
Maybe
Mapping a body.
Maybe it's different parts that we're gonna see WebDriver leg and then WebDriver,
Has anybody looked to see if there's WebDriver limbs?
Oh my gosh. WebDriver digits. This is terrible. We have uncovered the true secret. Okay, well, let's say, we have Mystery Man doing this.
Yeah.
How about Mystery Hobbits working on
let's cheer things up a little bit. Yeah. From the person who apparently brought you Star Wars The Phantom Edit comes The Hobbit Dwarfed Edition. IC_ pointed this out to us on our subreddit. By the way, when I say so-and-so sent this to us, it means on currentgeek.reddit.com, our subreddit. So get in there and submit stuff. This is a Vimeo clip which shows the first 10 minutes of Bomb Bicklebeard's attempt to re-edit the Hobbit movies to only contain material from the book The Hobbit.
Wow. That's kind of awesome. Cool. That seems hard, though.
There's not going to be a lot left, is there? On the other hand,
it'll only be one movie
is like 15 hours.
Yeah, good point. They took out the White Orc and all that junk.
Yeah, anything that was Silmarillion or appendix material, he's just pulling that stuff out.
All right, 5-minute movie. It's worth every penny of that $8.50 you're going to pay for the 3D.
Hey, he's got
edition.
10 minutes already.
Oh wow, nice. There you go, everybody. Let's jump into our main stuff. Before we do, though, the Diablo show, brand new show right here on the Frog Pants Network. If you're a fan of Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls to be specific, I know Patrick is. Then you'll want to listen to this new show hosted by me and filled with all things Diablo. Episode 1 is up and available now. Check out frogpants.com/Diablo and subscribe. Also on iTunes and everywhere you can get your podcast for free. That's frogpants.com/Diablo and subscribe today.
In case you missed a look at one of the best-dressed beauties of the early 20s, here's another look at her. Had enough?
I sure have. Let's talk about...
Wait, no,
what?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? All right, well, let's keep it going then. Keep staring, keep looking. Right. Amazon-owned Comixology ditches in-app purchases on iOS and removes Google Play payments on Android. This according to the Next Web and really everywhere else on the internet.
That's not according to anything. I downloaded it. They did.
Yeah, they did. So, Tom, could you break down the basics of this, and then I want everybody to chime in on where they stand, because I have kind of gone back and forth a bunch this week, and I want to know where everyone's at.
So Amazon bought Comixology.
Yeah.
Comixology, up until this point, if you don't know, allowed you to shop their digital comics store from within the app and purchase an app. At worst, you had to put in your either your Google Play ID on Android or your iOS password on iOS, and then you could download and start reading that comic book right away. Now that Amazon has owned them, Amazon doesn't like to give anyone more money than they need to, so they have stopped in-app payments in the iOS version of Comixology. The reason for that is Apple requires that any digital goods be sold through the Apple in-app purchase system, and that system takes 30% of the money and keeps it for Apple. So Amazon's like, well, we're not doing that. We're not giving you 30% of the profits. So what happens now is people have to go to the website, which they can do on their iOS app. They have to go to Safari, log into the Comixology website, buy their comics there, and then wait for them to show up in the app to be able to read them. I have found it to be less than instantaneous. And also it just kind of gets in the way of that impulse buying where you might take a flyer on an indie comic because you're like, oh, I have to go launch the Safari browser. Maybe I won't worry about that right now.
Yeah.
Whereas on Android, what they've done is say, we're not going to use the Google Play Store anymore. We're just going to have you log into Comixology and buy them directly from us because we're Amazon and we can process those payments ourselves. So in Android, you basically have the same situation that you've always had, which is you have to, affirm that your Comixology account is there instead of logging into Google Play. But otherwise, you can buy a comic right away on your Android tablet.
And that makes, obviously, Android people happy. But for the legions of iOS fans who made Comixology a success on that platform, given its user base and everything else, they're ticked. And I was not happy at all about this, primarily because there is no easy workaround that takes care of the impulse buys, that takes care of I just finished issue 3 of Hawkeye. I want to go to 4 and I want to do it right now. Oh crap, I got to go to the site. I got to wait. It may not be instantaneous. If it's not, I don't know what that is. Is it 10 minutes later? Is it a day later? Like, what am I going to do here?
Well, I'd like to point out a commenter on the article and how he has a workaround.
All right.
First, you start the Comixology. You go to purchases. 2, you hit restore in the purchases tab to sync Apple purchases with the web. 3, log into Comixology website to use $5 voucher they give you, apparently. Step 4, download the DC/Marvel apps. Check purchases, have sync to those. 6, download new Comixology app to leave a 1-star review. Delete both Comixology apps because of the dick move. 7, use DC Marvel apps that haven't been messed with.
No, but then you're leaving out all the indie folks there.
Yeah.
That does not work.
That's the best stuff there is on Comixology.
There is, but there's a lot of those are housed under the Image app, and that's still working. A lot of those are housed under the crap. Didn't they do a version of this for Oni Press or somebody else? I can't remember.
Sure, but then since instead of having one store and not having to worry about which publisher it comes from, you have to be like, well, I'm going to be loyal to publishers again. That's great. Yeah, if I'm starting a new comic with Len Peralta called 10 State and I'm not associated with a publisher, I'm screwed. Oh wait, I am.
Yeah, you kind of are. Yeah, you are. That's you, dude. Oh my gosh, I hadn't even considered that until now.
Well, I discovered this I'm going to start reading The Preacher, and I wanted to buy.
I'm so sorry, but anyway, go ahead.
It's not a good one.
I did not like The Preacher at all.
Everybody's like raving about it.
Too mean-spirited. It's an angry comic. That's all I know.
So anyway, I noticed that the Comixology had volume 1, not 2, but volume 3. So I was like, why don't they have volume 3? Because, you don't want to buy the comics one by one.
Right.
But guess who had volume 2? The iTunes store. That would download right into the newsstand iBooks app, which I thought was quite interesting.
So what do you think that means? Does that mean anything? Because they've been doing comics for a while over there. Not in any heavy way, and so had Amazon for that matter.
But it was interesting that they had all the volumes on the iTunes store, but not the Comixology app.
Well,
that's like music. Sometimes music is only on Android and not on the iTunes store yet. Those deals get made individually with different platforms.
Yeah, I mean the way I'd look at it too, if you're into those other separate apps, the Marvel, DC, Image app that are all based on the Comixology core, and all sort of work like that app did, and we're always updated along with that other one. I wonder 2 things. One, will it stay on the same update path as the current app, the new, the flagship app, or will they languish a little bit? And secondly, will they go away eventually, just like this did, and change? And the answer to that is probably not right away, because they have deals with DC, Marvel, and others where they can't just willy-nilly rip that out.
Well, and I think if I understand it correctly, it's a contract where DC says, Comixology, provide the technology for our app that we own and run and make all the decisions about.
Yeah.
So they probably have a contract that requires them to continue to update it, that they're paying them for. Right. And then DC can make the call of whether they want to do the 30% or not, which they've already gone ahead and done it, so I don't see why they would change.
Well, Amazon's not. So a lot of people are, I've kind of gone back and forth, because part of me says, I get it, Amazon, you don't want to pay Apple that 30%. Nobody really does. This is one example of that where it feels a little egregious if you're making an app.
Yeah, but it's Amazon's like it's kind of saying like we don't care about the user experience for the iOS people, pretty much.
Yeah,
we don't really care.
Which is the whole base.
They've done that with Kindle, and they've done it with Audible, and people are used to it now, right? You don't think, oh, I have to go to the web to buy a Kindle book. But I would argue that it's different in those situations because it's less of a browsing impulse buy. You don't buy novels as often as you buy comics.
Right.
On an impulse, yeah. You're not going to oh, that looks interesting.
Well, because that's $10 or more. Say it's a $19 book. Well, you're going to, that's the thing you would go to the site for. You're going to think about it a little bit. You're not going to go, hey, I think I'll just keep going with more books. I mean, some people may, but.
But can you imagine if Blizzard put this into like a Hearthstone, like where you want to buy a pack and you have to go to BNet and buy it through there?
That'd be a terrible idea. Because what you do is disrupt the user experience to the point that less people would do it. And that's exactly what's happening here. Whether anyone's going to report any numbers or not, the usage on that thing is going to be way, way down. Because
it feels like comics are different for some reason. And I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon, after a couple of months or 6 months or whatever, backtracked on this only for Comixology a little bit. It would be surprising, but I guess it would be less surprising for Comixology, because as you're saying, it's very different from audiobooks or regular books. I don't think I'm going to be buying as many comics because of this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not alone in that.
Well, it's
On
not.
the other hand,
you're not saying you're doing that out of protest. You're just saying the experience will just simply have you buying less comics because the old way you would buy them was quicker and easier or whatever.
Yeah, it's just that the impulse is not going to be as strong, obviously. But on the other hand, I know a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, Apple sucks. They want 30% of your money, and that's a ripoff," and blah blah blah. And it's like they created the whole platform. They're managing the whole thing. They're paying for, the servers and the infrastructure and everything. I mean, I'm sure when you sell something at Best Buy or Target, the store is going to take a part of the price you're paying. I don't understand why that people are so antagonistic towards Apple.
Because they don't allow anything else. It's one thing to say Apple gets 30% if you use their in-app payment system. That's fine, whatever. But they say you can't have any other payment system. Okay, well,
you
just want to keep it simple.
Well, you can. They could sell. I mean, Amazon or Comixology could be paying. Offering the comics on their website and on the Apple platform. The only
what Apple's saying is you can't in your app. You can't use any other payment system but ours. So you have to give us 30%. And you can't even link to your own store.
Well, even of course, that would be too easy. Then there's no incentive for anyone to ever pay
this is like in the Best Buy, you go to the Sony section and they're like, Sony, don't put that you have a website anywhere. Don't put your URL on anything. We want people to only believe they can get products here at Best Buy.
Right.
No, but you can also say there's an Apple store, and then Sony comes into the Apple store, or Amazon comes to the Apple store, or whatever, and it's like the Apple store is paying for the rent for the store, right? But Amazon comes in and says, "Oh, we don't want to pay you anything. We just want to sell our wares here." Yeah. You could kind of say it like that. Exactly. They own the.
No, and what
I don't think analogy, it's the same.
Tom, in your analogy, it would be like Best Buy having a Sony corner and Sony saying you can get this cheaper at Target on the corner. It's
I think that's where the metaphor breaks down, because this is where
you break down.
This is like, okay, but no, let's actually use a better, more direct analogy. Let's say that Apple on their laptops now says that no piece of software can sell anything without using Apple's payment system, and now everything you use on OS 10 has to go through the Apple Store. You think that's fair?
No,
it's very different.
It's a computer running software.
Tom makes it's a fair point. It's the way we think of these things. It's just because we're used to stuff.
If you could sideload apps, then you could say, well, it's okay. You just have to get the Comixology app from a different place than the App Store. But Apple won't let you get apps from anywhere else.
Let's go to the end of your little scenario here, and let's say that Apple allows for any app to use any kind of payment system. And obviously, for the Apple payment system, they would be getting less than they would be getting for someone else, or the price would have to be more expensive. How many people would be paying on the same app? You have the choice: pay $10 with the Apple payment system, or $7 with our payment system, and both are available in the app. Which one do you think people would choose?
I don't know. Look at Android and see how many people use the Google Play payment system, which is a lot, which is exactly what you're describing, where Google says, we have a payment system. If that's easier for you, use it. We'll take our cut. Otherwise, use your own payment system.
Right.
Well, here's a quick question are the comics the same price as they were when under the...
Yes, they haven't changed.
Probably, yeah. So they just raised
so Amazon's taking...
Right, and some have claimed, Amazon will give indies more money, and I don't know where they're getting that.
Well, actually, no. The royalties agreement with Comixology says we will split anything after costs of the sale with you. And so instead of getting 35% of the price, which is what you got in the iOS store, you now get 50% of the price.
So if that's the case, that is one case.
People are making more money off of it.
Yeah, if that's the case, and I guess I hadn't heard that, but if that's true, then that's good for them, for indies. I mean, that is one, I guess, nice side effect of this.
If
and
they
nobody's
sell enough copies.
Well,
the
exactly.
problem is, you know, how much is this going to slow down sales?
Right. It's like pulling out of the store where you had your most success, like a physical store, and now you're still hoping to make that many sales. Will that make up for the, you know, will the 50% make up for the fact that you're not there anymore?
I guess the magic number now is roughly 30%, right? If they sell 70% of what they were selling on the App Store, more or less, they make up for it. But
Amazon seems to think it will, or they wouldn't have done this.
Or long term, it will more, maybe, or who knows. But the way I see it ultimately is Amazon wants to get theirs, Apple wants to get theirs, everybody wants to get theirs.
Well, Scott, you have a perfect example of your experience with Rdio.
Yeah, Rdio, this totally happened to me. So when I went to get an Rdio account finally, because Eric had been bugging me for years to get it, and same with Eileen. All this peer pressure, I just couldn't handle it anymore. I finally caved. So I went and got an Rdio account, or I started to through the app on the phone, and it said 14 something a month, and I went, wow, that went up. When I thought this was $9 last time I checked, and everybody on Twitter's like, well, yeah, you just have to go to their site and do it, and it's less. It's same app, you know, you don't have to do anything weird. You just have to go sign up there, and then when you log in, your credentials work and you're good. You just do it outside of Apple's take. So that's what they've done to help augment that, and they're in a position where you could argue pretty strongly why they would need to do that, because they've got these royalty things they got to pay, and for Rdio to be profitable or to even break even, they've got to figure out a way to cover that, and the way they do that is by having a pretty strict profit base, and Apple's thing changes that, so they have to bump it up to make the difference. So it's 14 there, 9 if you go to their site. I have no problem with that as a subscription service, and
because that's a one-time.
Yeah, and that's why I'm leaning toward this idea that if they can finally, with Amazon's heft, if they can finally get a subscription all-you-can-eat or something close to that service for Comixology, problem goes away. Then they're done. None of us care then. I mean, maybe some people still just want a piecemeal,
it's
a buck
the exact
here and a
same
buck
problem.
There. How,
subscription
though?
does not make this go away.
Well,
look at Audible.
But Rdio does.
Can you subscribe? Can you pick your Audible books from within the Audible app?
No, but on my
done.
No, but
hold on.
The subscription. What you're talking about, Scott, is an all-you-can-eat subscription.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be all you can eat.
I guess that does. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
And that's the only way. Like the Marvel Unlimited app is this.
Sure.
And if they did that, I'm kind of back in everyone's good graces, because I really want that anyway. Now that's a high volume. I want to eat a lot of comics before I die kind of person, and that's because I love.
Well, and
comic
that changes
books.
The royalty structure with all the publishers.
Completely
deals with everyone.
Yeah, and Marvel's not interested in that. They've got their own, right? So I don't think this is going to happen. But if that did, or something close, then this whole problem goes away. I don't know.
It's just, I don't know, with the music royalties on a streaming service is just atrocious. Like how much the artist gets. It's just like,
yeah.
I mean, one month I had, I think, like 1,500 streams of my songs. Guess how much money I pulled in that month?
0.001
less than a buck.
$4.20.
Hey,
well, that's good money.
That's respectable.
Here's the thing, right? There's not enough people using streaming to be able to make it fit the royalty rates. They're giving you royalty rates that are based on radio, where people have millions and millions of people in the audience.
Exactly.
That's the mechanical royalty for ASCAP BMI. And then they're applying it to something like Spotify that has thousands of people in the audience. It's not going to scale the same way.
Exactly.
Well, it's big, scary stuff. We'll see how it all pans out. Patrick, you piped in today with something about Facebook actually caring about privacy now. You want to explain?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Apparently, Facebook now cares about privacy. I'm sensing a post-NSA scandal world here. So they had their big announcement or a series of announcements at their F8 developers conference. And basically, they introduced a number of different initiatives that will allow people to control a little bit more the type of information, or even if they want to give information to the apps that they're going to be logging into using Facebook's login system. So there's a bunch of complicated APIs and systems and different things, but the core teaching of this is that apparently Facebook now wants to give users tools to control their privacy. Obviously, this is in order to make people more comfortable using Facebook to sign into other apps, and then being able to gather the data from all of those logins and that activity, to then be able to market, that data to sell ads on. But still, the effect is now that Facebook is giving a lot more control to the users in the way they share their information, and that's kind of weird.
That feels
Facebook has always been.
Well, I mean, at least our perception has, well, not, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people feel like Facebook has not cared about that they, we take Zuckerberg serious when he says we think everybody should be all out there and use their real names and everything else.
Well, it's not that they don't care. It's that they had an incentive, a commercial incentive, to make sure that people shared as much information as possible. And now it seems that they have a commercial / political incentive to not do that anymore.
Well, there's also a regulatory pressure here, because another one of these announcements was the Facebook Audience Network, which is a way for Facebook to sell ads based on their data that appear on third-party sites. So Facebook's selling ads that appear not on Facebook but elsewhere, and they know that that's going to expose them to more scrutiny as to their data collection practices. So I think this is partly them tightening things up, saying, all right, we're going to show that people have control over their data. So even though we're selling these third-party ads, people can decide whether that data is used by third-party sites or not.
Sure. Yeah. It's still surprising.
It's still good. For whatever their reason for doing it, I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah.
So do you think it's just the regulatory aspects of it, or
no,
is there some
I think
NSA?
it's things you said plus that. I think there's many motivations that got them to go, maybe we should do it this way for these reasons, all of which are part of it.
Yeah, my use of Facebook is so related to shows and art and the things I'm doing.
I have wanted to use Facebook as a login for things that I don't care about for a long time, but every once in a while there'll be a site that's like, we're going to post to your news feed and get all your friends' contact information, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And now I have the chance to be like, yes, I would like to log in with Facebook, but no, I don't want to share I don't want you to post to my news feed. I don't want you to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And if I'm really distrustful, I can log in anonymously and just say, you won't even know who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what they're also trying to address. It's the fact that a lot of people are uncomfortable or have become uncomfortable logging into other apps or services through Facebook, because there's this uncertainty. You're always, even if they're saying, we will never post stuff that you're not comfortable sharing or anything like that, you're always like, I don't know. I might not be willing to trust you, Mr. Sir Application Developer Man. And now, it's pretty clear. If it's Facebook saying, we will give you this or that only if the user agrees, then more likely than not, you are going to have more control, and you're going to be able to trust the sign up, the login process a lot more, and then use it more. So Facebook is effectively, with other, initiatives they announced, inserting themselves, or hoping to insert themselves, into even more of our ecosystem, especially in apps and in mobile, which is more and more important as time goes by. So it's probably a good move on the whole. I'm finding it hard to get a negative conclusion from all of this, surprisingly.
Yeah. I'm just
You're
impressed.
trying, though.
You are trying.
The effort.
I'm mostly impressed how lucid you are at 2 o'clock in the morning or near to it. It's an impressive piece of business. Before we move on, before we get to the top quiz, Tom, let's talk about tech history a little bit.
Yeah. So Scott and I have been doing these monthly Kindle singles, 99 cents a pop. And you get a Kindle single that has all of the things that happened on the days of the month in tech history. So for instance, May is here. If you look at May 2nd, you can find out all the things that happened on May 2nd in tech history. And then Scott's got illustrations in there for some of these events. So if you're into tech history, or if you're into Scott's illustrations, or both, check them out, tommerrittbooks.com. We have them from November through May right now, so you can go back and buy all of them if you want.
Brilliant. I think that
and it helps support the show.
Absolutely. That's what we want to do most. All right, let's get into this.
America scores and wins.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, join us to the part of the show that people seem to like some of the most. Or some people like the most, that's what I'm trying to say. I think even Eric said at one point, this is his favorite part of the show. So now you'll eat those words as you are now a victim of it.
See how much you like.
Here's how it works. We ask you guys trivia questions. You answer them. Tom scores it in a super weird way. If you get things right, or whoops, wrong, that's what happens. If you get them right, that's the sound you hear.
That's weird.
That is really weird. We are going to jump right in and going to start with Patrick. Patrick, last time we did Warcraft.
Last time I did well.
You did.
Last time I did well, and this time I'm not sure I'm going to do well.
Not sure you're feeling it.
Yeah, it's about Diablo this time.
Yeah,
right?
so last time was Warcraft, this time Diablo.
Full disclosure, I'm a Blizzard employee, and I've only started really playing Diablo with Diablo 3.
Yeah.
So if there's tons of lore from Diablo 1 and 2, I'm going to be completely screwed. I'm terrified.
I'm waiting for Tom to score you weird on just telling us that, but here you go. We're going to just jump right in. First question, what error code was widespread when Diablo 3 released in May of 2012?
What error code?
Yeah. Error code.
Oh, 37.
Oh, nicely done. Way to go.
37 points.
Oh, gosh, dang it.
What?
Fantastic. Eric, you got your work cut out
I'm
for you.
out. I can't compete with that.
Next up, what two new classes were introduced in Diablo 2's expansion, Lord of Destruction?
Oh, wow. Amazon and I don't know. Do I have time to look it up?
No,
on the
you
internet?
do not. It is a druid and assassin.
Druid 15 points
and
for that.
assassin, yeah. I could have sworn this. Well, what do I know? All right. Next up, 2 soul stones were destroyed in Diablo 2. What 2 demons did these soul stones belong to? Deckard Cain talks a lot about it. Okay, so Baal's one. Okay, what's the other one?
And
Sack.
Tom is killing me tonight, man.
Bowl and stick.
Whoops, hold on. It didn't. Oh, why isn't it playing? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, both were wrong. Yeah. Mephisto and Diablo were your correct answers.
Yeah, you lose only 10 points, though, because it would have been 15 otherwise.
Plus, this is his way of getting you back to normal after that 37-point thing.
I don't know what you mean.
It is weird. All right, what achievement in Diablo 3 was written/titled by Randy Jordan? I still don't even know if this is true, but...
Epic Beard.
Incorrect. Something called Made It Work. What does the hero of the original Diablo become known as later in the series?
The Dark Wanderer. The Wanderer.
You are correct. The Dark Wanderer is correct. Nicely done.
5 points. Nicely done.
In the Diablo game, does the monk class make his first appearance, or in which Diablo game?
3.
Incorrect.
Oh, the monk?
Yeah.
2?
You are wrong. It says Diablo Hellfire, but I don't know what that means. Was that
you can't just
Hellfire
keep guessing
is
either. That's
the expansion
for one.
Diablo 1.
What did one? I didn't even know one had an expansion. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, but you get 5 points for knowing that.
All right, that's good. Yeah, look, you got 5 points. Don't worry about it. What console? What console was the first Diablo game released on? I know this.
PlayStation 1.
You are correct. Nicely done.
Well done. 1 point.
And finally, what is the best Diablo podcast on the internet?
Isn't there only one?
I don't know. Are there more than one?
The Diablo Show, of course. It's amazing.
Nicely done with Scott
You lose
Johnson.
5 points for kissing up.
Hey, I'm French.
That's right.
Kissing is what I do.
It's what he does.
French kissing.
French kissing.
Every kiss you make.
Gross. Yeah. All right. So from Patrick's tongue to Eric's ear, here we go.
Eric's. What is this going to be on?
Eric's is on Apple. It's Apple trivia because you're a big Apple fanboy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You might do well at this, so we'll see.
Probably not.
Eric, here's your first question. When was iOS 7 released?
iOS 7?
Month and year. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, month and year. What month of what year?
Oh my gosh.
If you had the Kindle single histories, you would know.
I want to say September 2013.
Yes, you are correct. Nicely done. As of April 23rd, 2014, how many downloads have there been in the iOS App Store? They made a big deal about this.
Did they? April 1 billion?
You are Not correct. It is. I got to figure out these zeros. 3 sets of 3 zeros. That's 70 million, right? 70 billion. That can't be right. Can that be right?
70 billion?
It has to be 700. He's got this wrong.
Do I get a point for having it wrong?
Yeah, you do.
Probably. Yeah.
You get a point for doubt.
Yeah, that's wrong. All right. Anyway, what is the name of the iOS game that showed on how iPhones were made and was banned from the App Store? The one that showed like the China stuff.
Oh, what? Say the question again.
What was the name of the app? It was an iOS game, all right, that showed how iPhones were made in China and was banned from the App Store by Apple after it was out for a while. This was a big whoop at the time.
I never heard about that.
It was actually on our show App Slappy at the time, but that's okay. It's all right. It was the Phone Story. It was called Phone Story.
So you're going to end up with 0, but you got 1 point for being honest. I'd never heard of that. And then you lose a point for actually having been on the show where it was talked about.
Yeah. That sounds
was
about
it
right.
Was that like a computer story type of game where you're running like that software?
You were running like a that? Company. Yeah, you were manufacturing them. Yeah, yeah, it's all coming back to you now.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me.
All right, what company did Apple acquire in 2002 that helped make GarageBand?
Oh.
Isn't it like Lala or Lulu or?
No. It's the the original owners of Logic, and I want to say eMagic.
You are correct. Nicely done. eMagic is correct. Wow, you really just had to fight for that one.
He actually got 2 correct answers there because he said the correct answer and also said I want to say, which was true. He wanted to say it, so he gets
2 points. Nicely done. See, isn't that weird? It's really weird. What year was iPhone OS shortened by Apple to just iOS?
What year, huh?
Yeah.
I know. Can I say it? I know.
No. You can.
Well, if you want to get an extra point.
Yeah, if you want, you can get an extra point.
Beat you.
When they just went with the iOS.
Yeah.
Think about why they changed it from iPhone OS to iOS.
Yeah. And also think of
flowers in a meadow.
What was the year? I almost gave it away.
And a unicorn without a horn.
2010.
You are correct. Nicely done. I was going to say what
when
year.
the iPad came out.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't use iPhone OS in the iPad. It would look silly.
Yeah, duh.
I mean, Eric, come on.
Come on, man.
Live up to your epic name.
There you go. What version of iOS introduced folders?
That was iOS 5.
You are incorrect. iOS 4 is the correct answer.
Was 4?
Yeah, 4 did it. What app did Eric use to create the legendary song "Scott is a Dork"? Remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
Do you remember the name of the app? Is the question.
Scott is a dork.
Here, I'll play the song. It'll help. Here you go. All right.
You still have that.
Yeah. Well, yes. Mike
the
dug
app
it up.
Was
we still have it. Yeah.
Songify.
You are. Hold on. Let me check. Incorrect. It was La-Di-Da.
Oh.
Or La-Di-Da. Yeah, La-Di-Da.
Yeah, you're losing a point for that.
So close.
You made the song.
You made the song.
I made this. You know how long ago that was?
A long time.
How many years was that?
09, probably. 10. 2010, something.
No statute of limitations on knowledge.
No, that's right.
There's no
Final question. When
At
will
my age there is.
That's right. When will the Function Remix album come out?
Never.
Close enough. It's whoops, that's not the right thing. Hold on, I'm playing the current Geek intro again. It's that is correct. When Eric finishes it is the correct answer. So there you go.
Because Eric gets to determine that, he gets 5 points for that correct answer.
Oh my gosh!
Yay.
All right, great. So how did they do, Tom? Add them up.
So as a very volatile scoring system today, especially for Patrick, who started with 37 but ended up with 8. Eric was much more linear, but ended up with 9. So congratulations.
What?
Eric.
Wait, no, I demand a recount.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 37, 22, 12, 17, 12, 13.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, there you go.
All right. Nicely done. Eric wins. Way to go, man. Nicely done.
Thank you.
We're going to skip. What? Hello?
I think Iceworm, who does the questions, right? I think he has something against me.
You think so?
Those questions were really difficult, surprisingly difficult.
They were a little bit hard. I didn't know half of them, and I love Diablo. So,
hey, by the way, federal jury ruled that Samsung infringed Apple's patents, but we haven't found out how much they're going to give Apple.
Oh,
just happened.
$13 bajillion.
Maybe they'll get so much money they'll take that 30% subscription thing off. That'd be great. Right? Yeah, who knows? All right, we're going to do emails.
Radio today is different. Powerful networks span the nation from coast to coast. Shortwave radio girdles the globe.
Gonna have to save that forecast for next week.
Yeah, it's a good one. Stay tuned, folks.
Check this email out. It's a great one. It came to Tom. It's from Anton. I want to say this name right. So you say it. Thank you, Strezhnev, graduate student at the Department of Government. That's cool.
That's intimidating.
It is, right? Ugh. Everything's red in there or something. Anyway, great work on Current Geek this week. Regarding your discussion of how money influences...
Suspicious. He starts with a compliment.
Yeah, it's always a little fishy. Great discussion on how money influences politics and how it is not outright bribery story, but rather an influence/access story. We were talking about the whole deal with the FCC and all that. It says, there was a recent experiment from some fellow political scientists here at Berkeley that provides some really interesting evidence for this. Washington Post had a good summary here, and there's a link. Basically, they sent letters to Congress people asking for a meeting on a particular bill. Randomly, some of the letters letters said they were from constituents, while others said they were from, quote, active political donors, unquote. As it turned out, the otherwise identical letters from the donors were more than 3 times more likely to get a response because they said they were donors. If somewhat of a no-duh result, but it gives us a good sense of the ways in which money influences politics and what sorts of reforms would help even the playing field, namely reducing access barriers. Hopefully the FCC's comment period brings out some substantial lobbying on the part of consumer groups and the pro-neutrality tech giants like Google. Love the new show, love the new shows. Best, Anton Strezhnev. I can't say it right. Anyway, that's an interesting point of view.
The upshot here is when you make your comment to the FCC about the net neutrality order, make sure to say you're an active political donor.
Mm-hmm. That's the trick, right? Boy, it's really true, though. I mean, I don't know. Politics are in everything, right, Eric? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I know. It's all about money. It's, the whole rulings that come down about, corporations are people and that recent Supreme Court where it says you can donate as many times as you want or something that just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Sure. And like when you gave me that $20 iTunes gift certificate to give you the most points for today's quiz and have you win barely.
Exactly.
Like that. Look at the influence you wielded there. Patrick, you were trying to bark something out. What were you saying there?
No, I mean, I'm not sure what the solution is either. Because do you ban donations to parties? What do you do? Do you put a cap? What's the solution for that?
I don't know.
Lawrence Lessig is starting a super PAC for people who want to fight against the influence of money in politics to get significant campaign reform. And what they're going to do is use a bunch of money, pooled, crowdsourced from a bunch of different people, to back particular candidates who will fight for campaign finance reform. They're going to do 5 candidates in 2014 as sort of a proof of concept. And if they can get the ball rolling there, then in 2016, when the big election comes, they're going to back as many candidates as possible.
So, Patrick, the answer is fight fire with fire, right? Excellent. I mean, that's what this is. Like, there's no if you're going to be in a system where people can donate all they want, and you're going to have sort of an uneven playing field because one side has more money than the other, the only way to fight it is to figure out a way to counter that money. That seems like a way to do it.
So once again, money wins.
Yeah, money always
for
wins.
the good guys.
Well, no, but you use money in order to change the rules so that money won't win all the time.
Right, and then Tom.
So it's the last time, we promise.
And Tom always reminds me that money is just a piece of paper we somehow put value on anyway, and it always makes me just a little bit sad and broken. So all of this means nothing to me now. It's just
and guess what? Apple just got 119.6 million pieces of paper that mean nothing from Samsung.
119 million is all? I thought it was going to be like a billion or something.
Apple asked for 2.2 billion. Samsung said no, it should only be 38 million. The jury found 119.6.
All right, well, meet in the middle, I guess. Not quite the
Thanks
middle.
To Alchemy for that one.
Meet on the way of the other side, but in a little bit. That's incredible. Wow. So are we done with this? Are we done talking about Samsung and Apple for the next 10 years? I mean, geez.
I doubt it.
Yeah, it's probably not over. But I can tell you what is over. This show, everybody. Not for good, just for today. Oh, Patrick can get some sleep. Eric can have his Friday night back. Tom can go on with his llama raising ability stuff he's working on those llamas. I don't know what that means.
Fernando Llamas.
What?
He's raising llamas. Hadn't you heard? You know.
Wait, I'm interested.
He gave up
alpaca lies.
It's alpaca lies. Very nicely
Damn
said.
it. I thought I was finally going to be rich.
You're getting it on the ground floor. I do want to thank our guests who were amazing today, as I knew they would be. Patrick is a man about town. He has things going on. Is there anything in particular you'd like to point people to? You get your French-speaking stuff going on. What do you want? What do you need?
What do I need? I need love and attention, just like everyone else. And you know how you can provide this to me, dear listeners? You can go to Twitter and follow me. I'm at NotPatrick on Twitter. Yeah. And if you speak French, go to FrenchSpin.com and listen to my shows. They're fun.
Yeah, they are fun. I don't even know what's being said, and I even supported his Patreon for them, but I like them.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah, of course.
How did I miss it?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Thank you so much. I have 2 patrons in the podcast here, and surprisingly, again, the influence of money. I'm showing up for your show when you ask me. That's
we said we're active Patreons.
Yeah.
Will you please show up on our show?
Oh, it was much more appealing that way. Eric, what about you, man? Where can people go? What do you want to do? What are you doing?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Hawkito, HAWKITO. If you're interested if you like my music, you can find it on iTunes under Skyhawk. My latest album is Shattered, but it's also on Amazon and Google Play also.
Yeah, and they're both very good. And everyone gets all the money at Google Play. Or I don't know.
I'm still following this. By the way, the 119 million was Recode, and apparently, according to The Verge, that's just for one item, and the total is 1.049 billion.
Oh,
well,
that's a lot more than that's more than 38 million. I'll say that. Whoo! Take that, Korea. Jeez, you better play some more StarCraft. Get
so
some of that.
That's half what Apple asked for.
All right. Good Lord, though.
But my album's a lot cheaper than that.
Seriously, so much cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper.
Much better bargain than suing Apple.
You should get it. It's good. All right, well, that's going to do it. Next, just a quick note. Next week, Tom. Oh, Tom, first, anything from you? Anything?
Sword and Laser Anthology is out. swordandlaser.com/store. 20 stories from our audience that are amazing. Science fiction, fantasy, half 10 of each. So if you like science fiction and fantasy and you want an ebook or a print book, check it out. swordandlaser.com/store.
And we really want to shake your hands.
You did that.
Isn't it though? It's so cool.
It's super cool. I heard it East Meets West, I think you mentioned it. And I don't know, it's just so cool that this is coming out of the podcasting community that you started with Veronica, and there's such an active fan base and community, really. And I don't know, it's just it's one of the coolest things I've heard coming out of podcast, of any podcast. It's like, usually it's like, yeah, you can buy a mug or there's a t-shirt, and like that's actually something that made the
you don't have to put Scott down in front of the show.
Yeah, geez. That reminds me though, t-shirts and mugs available for,
help Kirk Scott directly. Buy some t-shirts and mugs.
Yeah, the Pilsner glasses still available. You can support the show. Go and check those out at frogmans.com/store. All right. One last note. Come to Nerdtacular, everybody. Come shake our hands. There's still tickets available. We got all kinds of crap going on. In fact, the trying to get the schedule up this weekend. I'm trying to make it pretty, but it's done. It's ready. And things are happening, man. July 4th weekend here in beautiful Snowbird Resort in Salt Lake City. Tom Merritt will be there. Patrick will be there. Eric won't be there, the big bum.
I'm sorry. I'm going in August.
I know. Sorry. And I'll see you then. We got to make sure to hook up when you come.
Time.
But but yeah, it's going to be great. And Veronica, who you mentioned, will be there. Everybody, all the big community, all the people you love, they'll be there next week on this very program. One Greg Street, Ghost Crawler himself, will be guesting on the show. Now at Riot Games, formerly of Blizzard Entertainment, and I hear it through a little worm through the grapevine that Patrick Beja will be returning.
What?
For real. So watch for that. And
that's too much, Patrick.
It's going to be amazing. No, it's going to be great. It's all been handled under the table. We got this worked out. So please join back next week with us to talk about those things. What else? That's it. Current Geek on Twitter. Scott Johnson on Twitter. Ace Detect on Twitter for Tom. CurrentGeek.reddit.com. CurrentGeek@gmail.com. What else? CurrentGeek.com is the website. Our notes are there, so go check it out. It's going to do it for us, for me, for Tom, and our fine guests. We'll see you next time. Excellent work, everyone. We're proud of what you've done here.
Stay a while.
And listen. No, that was really great. I had a ball.
That was fun.
So, Eric,
Yeah,
you're on the
stuff.
rotation now, man. There's nothing you can do about it.
Oh.
Sorry, man.
I mean, I
You're
have
too
to
good.
say, Tom was on fire tonight.
Yeah, he was cracking me up.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
thanks.
You had 3 or 4 one-liners that just, I don't know why it was so funny.
Maybe a couple.
They were good,
Thank you,
man.
Patrick. Bring me back down to earth.
2 points. 2 points for that.
But Scott needs to work on his transitions. He's still not up to where Tom is.
Oh,
on
I'm
the-
terrible at them. But I've
Come on,
embraced it.
now.
I own them. I'm so bad at them. So that's our thing. Tom's good at those. I'm bad at those, and they're both entertaining in their own dumb way. So there you have it.
It takes a village.
Yeah, it really
Not
does.
the village idiot.
See, one-liner number
Actually,
5
you
right
know what?
there.
I actually stole that line from Schleicher, I think.
Oh, you did?